Here's what looks to be a nice little female arboreal salamander. Pretty low speckling on this one. The males have a very broad head, and this is an adult, so probably a female, but there's some overlap. These guys are just so cool. Very similar to the last salamander we saw, but this is the Santa Cruz black salamander again. I just love finding them. Beautiful salamander. Given how much I run into these guys, I certainly don't showcase them enough. Here's a little slender salamander. Pretty cool little fossorial salamanders with very reduced limbs. You can see those tiny little arms. Sorry, phone doesn't want to focus on it. But they're cute. Look at that short face. Blend in very well with their surroundings. This one was under the log, of course, not on top. They don't tend to do that during the daytime. And another one. And I feel like I should maybe say that, like, it may seem kind of like these guys are a common species to encounter, since I've been showing a lot of them lately. Which they're not really, unless you know where to look. If you were to look in many places, in the Santa Cruz Mountains even, you won't see these guys so much, or at all. But they survive in little pockets of habitat where they can still persist. So I've just been spending a lot of time where they live lately, so that's why there seems to be such a large proportion of them. But if you were to like take the total numbers of all the black salamanders in the Santa Cruz Mountains and compare them to all the ensitinas or all the arboreal salamanders or slender salamanders, the proportion of black salamanders would be minuscule compared to those other species. So they are really a special species that only live here. So now that I got that little aside out of the way, I can get you back to your regularly programmed black salamanders. The scientific name is Aeneades niger. It used to be part of the species known as Aeneades flavipunctatus, which is now the speckled black salamander. Here is the fourth one of the day. It's really spectacular to see this many of them here. They seem to have really come up after these rains. And it seemed to be completely dry at this location throughout much of the year. So it's kind of concerning what impacts the drought might have on this population. However, there's a large amount of groundwater. So I'm sure that that's helping them persist. I don't know how deep exactly it is from this exact spot, but at least the humidity coming up from it through crevices and whatnot are enough to let these guys hold on here, even where there's not a permanent body of water on the surface. Here's a yellow-eyed ensitina, one of the more common species in the surrounding areas actually, but notably not at this specific location. Pretty cool. Talked about these a lot before, so I don't think I have too much to add at the moment. But very good looking salamander, and a nice contrast to the black salamanders that we've been looking at. Here we can contrast the other local Aeneades species, which is Aeneades lugubrus, or again, the arboreal salamander. So same genus as the black salamanders, but a different species. These guys get a little bit bigger, and they're a little more formidable. They have strong jaw muscles and large teeth, especially for a salamander. This is a beautiful ensitina, and it got very upset with me. Look at this. So this is a warning posture where they stand up tall to display their bright orange coloration. And not only that, but we have this white substance secreting from the tail. And so that's a noxious substance. It tastes nasty. It can probably make a predator kind of sick if they eat it. But like I said, they're nowhere near as toxic as the newts that they mimic. But they do have a little bit of nastiness to them. But the coloration on this one is brilliant. Beautiful salamander. That was a pretty successful little salamander outing, I would say. Saw 4 of our local species, all plethodontids. It's very fun. Feel a little bad that Ensatina got so upset with me, but on the other hand, what a nice educational opportunity for everyone to see. So, very cool. It's a baby Western yellow-bellied racer. Found under a little board, nice and cold, so it's easy to get. Cute little snake though. Again, we're seeing that striking patterning on this young racer that fades as they age. Let's look at the coloration. It's such a gorgeous snake. A little skeleton skink. If I can get it to focus, that would be great. This is an adult. You can see he doesn't have the bright blue tail that the juveniles have. Sometimes they retain it well into adulthood, but it's pretty common for that to fade as they age. Cool little lizard though. I haven't seen one in a little while. And here's one with the familiar blue tail. Such gorgeous lizards. He's nice and cool, so he's not running off right now. Nice. Haven't seen many of these guys in quite a while. These are Pacific tree frogs, or Sierran tree frogs. Cool little guys. Most abundant frog, native species at least by far in the area. It's kind of unexpected. Just flipped quite a large red-legged frog. It's very close to the water though, so it's not super weird for it to be where it is, but it's not usually how I find them. Pretty cool. Here's a neonate coast garter snake. Probably born in October. It's a pretty dark individual. Get this to focus at all. Okay. Here we are in late November now, and still finding some snakes. There's a little baby rattlesnake right in the center of the screen. I'm a bit zoomed in though, because I kind of don't want to spook it back into the crack before we can get any kind of look at it. But yeah, that's a pretty fresh neonate. That one was definitely born in the last couple months. Beautiful little snake. Got a nice arboreal salamander right here. Very low patterning. Most of that speckling is actually just some dirt that's on the salamander. Nice rocky habitat. Little slope here. Looks like good habitat for snakes, but I haven't turned any up yet. We'll see what happens. But these guys are always fun. Sure enough, the next rock over has some old snake skin that was stuck to it. Probably from a ring neck. That's what tends to be in this area. Here we go. Nice little juvenile ring neck. What a pretty little snake. Santa Cruz County, of course. Look at that bright orange belly. Very underrated, in my opinion. If they were bigger, people would be crazy about these. Number 2 for the day. About the same age, little juvenile. And this guy can go back under the board if that's what it wants to do. Come on. Feeling not so sure, apparently. It's kind of funny. Here we have a little juvenile gopher snake. This could be a second year. It could have just done very well since hatching this fall. But anyways, I was gonna say, I never do flip clips, and I've tried on about half the boards on this line today, and each time there's been nothing under when I'm recording, and about all 3 of the snakes I found on this board line so far have been when I'm not recording. So maybe I should just keep with not doing flip clips, because that seems to work better for me. Here's a nice view of this guy. It can be kind of a pain to pose for a photograph. You might notice that the gopher snakes from Santa Cruz County have pretty subdued patterning, you might say. The blotches aren't very distinct in a lot of cases, and sometimes they almost look like they have stripes from afar. Look at that black tongue. Another common snake that's pretty underappreciated, I think. Well, 3 snakes on this line so far. Hopefully we can get at least 1 more. But I kind of stopped by here on a whim, so I won't be heartbroken if this is the last one. It's gone pretty well, considering it's the last day of November too. You may also wonder why you often see smaller snakes, mostly babies at this time of year. And it's not only because that they were just recently hatched or born. One of the main reasons is because they are trying to get some meals in them before having to go through the winter, and hopefully successfully make it through to the spring. And also, because of their small body size, they heat up a lot easier than the adults. So, whereas the adults would have a hard time heating up on a 60-degree day or cooler under a cover object with a meal in them, these guys can do it pretty easily. Of course, the thing to do when you're done admiring one of these guys is to let them go just where you found them. Last board on the line produced a nice big southern alligator lizard. These guys are pretty opportunistic when it comes to taking advantage of temperatures, so even in the winter you'll often see them popping up under cover objects on mild days like this. So, nice looking lizard, pretty big, but they do get a lot bigger. There you go. Oh, I'm gonna go off that way. Okay. I was just turning this log, and there's a whole bunch of coral fungus on the side. I don't really show off fungi very much, but I thought they were pretty cool. Really interesting looking. So, I'm out doing a tiger salamander survey today. Sorry, I can't really show you much of those guys. And it's cold and rainy, but I found a racer. How about that? Western yellow-bellied racer, that is. So, you can find snakes any time of the year, pretty much, if you know where to look. So, obviously this guy was undercover, not out in the open. And I'll put him right back where he was. But really cool to see one of these guys in December. So, actually ended up getting permission to share a little bit of footage of some California tiger salamanders. with the caveat of reminding everyone that they are federally and state protected, and you shouldn't go trying to pick them up or harass them in any way, really. So just always remember to try to be ethical in your herping. And yeah, I'll put in those clips right here. Also found a nice little skeleton skink. Very close to where the racer was. Pretty cool. You might end up a snack if it warms up enough for that racer to be active. My goodness, this thing is monstrous. This is an arboreal salamander. It's huge. Look at that guy. No pattern too, pretty much. Really interesting looking. Whew, sorry, I'm a little winded from lifting this really long log. Beautiful though. It's really cool to see such a big one. I mean, I'm a pretty average sized guy, so yeah, he looks pretty big next to my hand. That's got to be at least 7 inches total length, maybe a little more than that. That is a big one.